Tell us about the fire that hit the warehouse in the late 90s.
All right, it was in '98.
Mm-hmm.
They typically had the work area where they reworked the appliances in the center of the building. And when you had these defrost refrigerators in there, they'd work them over and check them over, and then they'd run them overnight to see that they were functional and operational. And this particular evening, everything was fine, and the last man out left about 8:30. And at 9 o'clock, the place was completely engulfed. Now this was the roof on this building was old was built up asphalt. The trusses were welded pipe. The siding was aluminum siding, which is typical. In a defrost cycle on a refrigerator, if the relay sticks, it continues to heat, and where it's either timed or temperature to trip in and out, it never gets to a critical level. But this one stuck, and it got to a critical level, and then when the fire broke through to get air, then it was like an explosion. Everything was so hot and brittle and ready to go that it did. And it burned the warehouse down. It damaged the little blue house to some extent, and then the floor was blistered some. It could have been really a bad situation, but nobody was hurt. It was property, and fortunately we had insurance. I told you that story.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to rebuild and have a very nice structure now as a result.
Is there any former or current resident that made a positive impression on you?
Well, those that have made it always are impressionable, and this gentleman right here is a good example. And I think Johnny Thomas probably is the most outstanding person that I dealt with, because he, I think, truly loved the harbor and appreciated what it had done for him. And he drove it like it was his mule. I mean, and it was. He made decisions. He and I did things for it. I said, when he asked me something, and we did much very big, we'd go to the board and said, this is done, this is what we did, and we want your approval. So it was easier to ask for approval or apologize than it was to get approval ahead of time. But I think Johnny is by far the most outstanding one. Neil Wolf is one that looks like has finally blossomed into a good story. But Neil is a good soul at heart, and wasn't above working me, but a bunch of them out there did. So anyway, that's my problem. But, he's a good man, and I think he's turned where he's a good for you.
Yes.
That you need.
What is your vision for Souls Harbor, say 5 years from here, 10 years, 20 years from now, LB?
I would so much love the harbor to have a new mess hall. This other thing is this building is 55 years old. It's wood construction. It's got the kitchen in it, and it's not a good thing. I think even if we built a new mess hall, we might still use this building for a recreation hall or something non-threatening where it don't have heat or electricity. We almost burned it down electrically one time, and it was a non-event by 20 minutes or something like that. Certainly, if we get a new dormitory, then the next step would be another dormitory. If we get a new mess hall, the next step is a dormitory. We also have got to have a better structure, financial structure. We need to have more stores. They need to be better managed. And then we also, if we can get to the next level where our bookkeeping and our hiring and all the other requirements of these outside people with money demand that they will bring money in here where we can afford to have more professional help to make it progress. This is the Lord's work. Whittle said that many times, that it has survived in spite of itself, and I would only say amen to that.